What's going on, my baby gamers? I'm coming to you live from a sleepover with the Ryan Reynolds. Only his head, though. The rest of him couldn't make it for scheduling issues. Yeehaw! Horses, ponies, colts, stallions, geldlings, mustangs, broncos, big foals, steeds, mares, ponies, horsies, caballos, dum-dums, all names for one thing: horses. These sad unicorns have a long history intertwined with that of man's, so it only makes sense that when man created the greatest invention of all, the video game, they would follow us there too. Well, rather, we forced them to follow us. As far as I know, there are no horse game developers. Though that doesn't mean plenty of game developers won't see an average IQ increase by hiring some. There are a lot of games with horses. They usually come in a means of transportation or a weapon of war. Breath of the Wild has horses. Red Dead Redemption has horses. Minecraft has horses. Other games probably have horses. Sorry, I'm just realizing I don't know a lot of games with horses in them. However, there sometimes comes a time when one wants to make a game about horses uniquely. A horse simulator, if you will. But playing as an actual horse would be simply ridiculous. Gamers hate playing as animals. It's a well-known fact. So, somewhere deep in Austria, one Sproing Interactive decided that they would make a horse-based game. They would make a stable simulator. Now that they had the idea for the game, what would they call it? Well, all horse riding is really just the union between two things: a gallop and a ride. And so was born Gallop and Ride! Exclamation mark. The 2008 Wii exclusive, a game so popular the Wikipedia page has less than 200 words. A horse stable simulator is a bit of an odd choice to simulate. On one hand, horse riding isn't exactly that restricted of a thing to do. I know it has a reputation as a rich person thing, and don't get me wrong, it definitely can seem to be. But as far as I know, it's really not actually that super expensive. And if you live in even a vaguely rural area, you probably know somebody who could teach you. For example, the stable my girlfriend works at charges about $50 for a one-time lesson. As of right now, buying an entire, albeit used Wii with a copy of Gallop and Ride will set you back about $45. That is certainly less than the one-time lesson. However, if you were to buy a Wii and Gallop and Ride at the time of launch, that would be roughly $270, or about 5 horse riding lessons. While yes, the simulation is certainly cheaper than actually going and riding a horse a bunch, and much cheaper than buying a living and presumably breathing horse, the costs are not as far off from each other as other simulations. The price to live a normal life, become a goat, or commit various crimes is much more expensive compared to a video game than the cost of riding a horse sometimes. Don't get me wrong, horse riding over a long time is certainly more expensive than playing a video game, but it's not as drastic as you might think. But I must also ask, why simulate this? I know there's barrel racing and like normal racing you can do with horses, but that's not what Gallop and Ride really focuses on. More than anything, it's like a stable simulator, and I'm like fairly sure there's better ones out there, which I highly doubt are on the Wii. Like, while you run the stable or train a foal, you're just kind of like, what's the point? If I wanted to be a business tycoon, there's loads of free apps for this. What am I doing? Or like riding a horse in other games is a mode of transportation or a weapon of war, or in some way beneficial to the game outside of just being a horse that you can ride. Because you see, kind of the entire point of riding a horse is the physical experience of riding it, either for enjoyment or general transportation. More than a car or really any other sport, I think that horse riding is by far only appreciated by those who like actually ride. Far as I can tell, it's not really a spectator sport, and I don't think the races are particularly enjoyed by anyone outside the horse racing scene, or, like gambling addicts. It's not that I can't see the appeal of a stable simulator, so much as I can't imagine someone who would be at all drawn towards that. Because again, if you want a business simulator, there's better games out there. And if you want to ride horses, you're kind of just better off riding horses. Because again, this game will not provide you with the same or anywhere near the safe experience of riding an actual horse. Not to mention the game is awful. There is a level of incompetence that I just find confusing. During these moments, I'm not angry. I'm not upset, not annoyed, just baffled and confused. These moments are similar to the joy I feel when I play Crash and Run. I don't care that it's bad, I'm just so very confused about my surroundings that I am beyond normal mortal emotions. There are many instances of this bafflement upon even a brief inspection of this game. Firstly, loading screens. While often missing in today's game, surviving only through quickly disappearing tips and tricks or just a pre-game lobby, loading screens were a mainstay in older games. And Fallout 4 apparently. And in fact, the tooltips they gave in these older games were often useful in an age before widespread internet use. However, Gallop and Ride has made the interesting choice of putting a single shot render from in-game locations. Now this isn't an awful idea. A nice tasteful shot of a well-rendered farmhouse or a horse who is galloping and riding into a sunset might be quite nice. Maybe they will choose to do more IRL pictures like they have on box art. No, instead they choose to do a very low resolution, overly saturated, in-game render of an in-game image, but the game did come out in 2008 on the Wii, so forgivable, I guess, that they have bad quality loading screens. What's not forgivable is the fact that the cameraman seems to have fallen over in the process of rendering this image. All of them are like this. What is this angle? It genuinely looks as if the man taking this photo has fallen over. Someone looked at this and went, yes, I want this image. What a lovely image. Character customization is a mainstay in modern gaming. Different characters or changing the appearance of one's player character has become extremely ingrained within modern gaming. However, I think people tend to forget how often this type of customization is present in early 2010 and 2000 games. Gallop and Ride is no different, allowing the player to choose between the 6 most basic characters: white man, brown man, black woman, brown woman, and white woman. Gallop and Ride felt that this character selection would not be done by a simple selection screen, but rather done on a sliding scale. So I guess me as a brown guy is just about halfway between a white girl and a black guy. Thanks, Gallop and Ride. I never knew that before. Why did they do a sliding scale? It's so confusing. Because a sliding scale indicates, there's a transition. So according to this, like, the darker you are, the less of your gender you are? Like, just use arrows. Anything other than a sliding scale would have worked. Why was this chosen? Once you manage to get past the character customization, you can begin to customize your horse. Now, I don't know a thing about lame zebras, but I do know someone who does. What's the illegal horse combinations?
Frisians.
Uh-huh.
They can't be white. Like, they can't be white.
There we are. So you're saying this is not a,
No, it's illegal.
This is illegal. This is an illegal horse.
Correct.
It can't
It's
be
just,
done.
it's just not a Frisian.
So you're saying they can't have, like, this powder sprinkled?
Yeah, that's a Appaloosa. That's just a butt and it hurts my soul.
How about this? Is this a legal combination?
Yeah, anything that's not black is illegal. Then it's not a Frisian. It's not a purebred Frisian.
So so even like even this is illegal.
Pretty much.
So, so everything except one specific color with no add-ons is illegal for this guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are they at least correct that Frisians are like a middle-sized horse?
Not really. They're kind of bigger.
Well, they're bigger than the Hanoverians. And
Yeah, but even then, that Hanoverian's illegal too.
wait, why? Can they not be white
Like-
either?
No, they really can only be black, bay, gray, or chestnut.
Dang, so like you can't even have like, oh, that's a horrible shot.
No, that's allowed.
This is allowed, okay. But
It's not
this
a bay, but that's
this
illegal.
This is illegal. Okay.
That's illegal.
Where do I... Andalusians. How about these guys?
They're typically white. But I'm not sure there's like a breed specific standard.
So what about like these markings?
That's just not. That's also again a very breed specific thing. That's a Appaloosa.
So they basically made an entire game to which the majority of the horse combinations are illegal. They're
Yes.
just not that horse.
Yes. That's my soul, man.
Is this at least called a dapple?
No.
Yeah, I thought not. Is this color bay? I feel like it's not.
I mean, if you made the mane, like the hair brown, then it would be bay. But as of right now, it's just,
Illegal.
yeah.
So what about this with the Frisian, right?
Don't even. That's just a paint horse. Like, the Frisian's just black. You know, now I'm just gonna rant about it.
Alright.
It's so stupid. They don't even look like that. What the hell? Okay, that was my rant.
that was it. Alright, cool. Anything else you'd like to say about Gallop and Ride?
Other than the fact that that doesn't look like a Frisian? Not really.
Not really.
And the Hanoverian doesn't look like a Hanoverian, and the Andalusian doesn't look like an Andalusian.
Are you telling me this game is lying to me?
Yes.
I don't believe they would do that.
Well, you're wrong.
Oh, okay. Well. On to the actual game, which instantly introduces you to the mind-numbingly confusing game design. Firstly, you cannot run in this game, which is a bit confusing as you have to run around a fairly large stable grounds. But fear not, my brave equestrian, Gallop and Ride has a surefire method to get you around. What is it, you might ask? Perhaps, I don't know, a tractor? An ATV? Maybe a horse? Or any other sort of mobile transportation other than walking? No, you can speed time up. You see, in an attempt to add realism to this simulation, your day is set on a timer. As such, as you do tasks and chores around the stable, you will notice that time will be passing you by. If you would like to move around the stable more quickly, make time go faster. You'll make time go faster, but you'll also move faster, because you're speeding up time. It is such a strange concept. It just baffles me why they made this, like, a decision. Why did they do this? Just let me run, or just up the movement speed. This entire day cycle system is just kind of pointless. It just sets your casual playthrough on a time limit. But like, I've also never had enough to do in a day to like actually reach the time limit. Honestly, as of right now, I don't even know what time it forces you to go to bed. But I imagine that like, once you get like 8 horses, it would be quite annoying to have to scramble around and quickly get all your chores done, which are fairly time consuming, and still get out of the field to ride a horse. The game almost becomes more of a time management simulator than it does a horse simulator at that point. And we know how everybody plays video games so that they can manage their time, something you can't do in real life. Unless you think that, well, it's a weird mechanic, but at least it's not integral to the gameplay. Yes, it is! Because you see, in order to actually ride your horse, once you've gotten them saddled up, which is a complete separate set of actions, to go through that infuriate me and make me angry, but we don't have time for that. You have to walk across the entire stable yard, which is unnecessarily long and also has 2 different cobble textures for some reason. And this journey can take up to half a minute to walk across. So in order to not cry internally and externally, you have to speed up time, because you walk incredibly slow with the horse, making passing time quickly extremely important to your game. In order to walk across the yard and not hate yourself, you have to run down your in-game clock. Or the developers could have just sped up your walk speed. But no, the time method is fine. Speaking of this journey, you will notice you'll pass an archway before eventually reaching the gate that allows you to go and ride in the field. Now, when I saw this, I initially thought nothing of it. It's just part of the walk to the gate. However, after passing it so many times, I begin to question, why not just make the archway the portal to the yard? There's no point in making the gate the portal to the yard. You could save a good 5 seconds if you just put the portal the archway. But for some reason, the developers put it further away for no reason. They just said, Lamau, make them suffer. Furthermore, this time limit. You want to know when the game forces you to go to bed? 6 p.m. I've gotten emails back from my school later than 6. What do you mean the day is over? 6 p.m. is halfway through the evening. You want to know how I figured this out? Well, technically it's because I waited in-game to see, but that was only after I noticed that my time was cut short twice. Twice now my days have been cut short, because here's me thinking, I have plenty of time. Surely this game will end the day at a reasonable time. I have plenty of time to goof off and mess around and not pay attention to the game, because the timer won't end till midnight, or 10 at the earliest. After all, the main excuse they use to end the day is that the player is going to bed. Surely then the day will end at a reasonable bedtime. Heck, Stardew Valley doesn't force you to sleep until 2 a.m. But no, you must go to bed by 6 every day. No one does business after 6. Guess the police and Mitchell weren't wrong after all.
Nothing's gonna happen in the middle of the night.
Once you're out in the yard, you'll realize that there's an actual fun part of this game. Riding the pony. In order to test the player's skills, there are a grand total of 3 races you can participate in. However, each are level locked, chronologically locked, and rank locked. So, you can't do 2 until you do 1, but you can't do 2 until you've reached a certain skill level or the ranking level. So why not just skill lock them all? Why have a set skill you need to reach before you actually race the races, but then necessitate I need to do 2 before 3? It seems unnecessary. Who knows? Only Spring does, and they went out of business. You'll also likely notice you do not have enough skill in order to attempt the first race on your first outing. You're gonna have to ride around a bit before you attempt it. Also, notice it doesn't tell you what level you need to be at in order to attempt the race. In order to get more skill, you need to just jump over obstacles. Honestly, there might be more ways to gain skill, but this is the only way I found. Also, side note, why do most games involving courses not let you jump with them? Horses can almost always jump over obstacles, but this is often done automatically. I just find it strange. We should be allowed to press a button to make horses jump. It's our right as gamers. Anyways, after making a few jumps, let's open up the menu and see what level our skills have gotten us to. Oh, it's a progression bar for just skill and no levels. Hey, how skilled is your horse? Mine's about this much. This is about how skilled he is, this much. So of course they didn't say how much skill you need to access the first race. How could they? There's no numerical value. It's just a random progression bar which gives you next to no information. Why would they do this? You may have noticed there's no way to make money yet. In order to feed your horses, expand the stables, buy new equipment, or get new horses, one would have to generate money. The best, and also the only I know of, way to achieve money is through the full training minigame. There are other ways like selling and training horses, I think, but this is honestly just the easiest way I've found. Before I talk about that, I want to talk about the limitations of the Wii. This guy right here is a really good console. Now I have a Wii U and not a Wii, and to be honest, I quite like it. I get why people don't think it's great. People were expecting something more like the Switch, but overall I think the Wii U is a very solid console. It does, however, inherit a lot of the technical limitations of the Wii, especially when it comes to motion control. Most good Wii games recognize that as functional as motion controls are, precision is not exactly something it thrives at. Most games bypass this by not requiring precise movement, and when they do, they'll often give quite a bit of leeway, basically allowing you to make quote-unquote precise movements without being as precise as it would seem to require. Or just use Wii Motion Plus, the Wii DLC that makes motion control good. Wii Sports, Wii Sports Resort, and the Force Unleashed are all great examples of this. They function near entirely upon the motion control, however, even in the sword fighting minigames, or flying a literal plane, it does not require precise movements. The only issue I've ever had in these games is boxing, which I think is mostly just tracking issues. I think the Wii has issues with the remote going back and forth at certain speeds. Like, I just think that specific motion the Wii has problems with. Even in games where precision was a mechanic in, say, The Force Unleashed, you could still just swing the remote back and forth wildly and fight enemies. You could do precise movement, but it wasn't required. The full training section of this game requires motion controls, and it's awful. Oftentimes you swing your arm wildly to get the foal to move, and sometimes the rope will even move. But the game requires a precise amount of swing in order to register. In fact, several of the clips you'll see my cursor is doing the correct movement, and the game is not responding to it. And again, because humans are not robots, oftentimes a swipe in a direction will result in a movement forward or back. This is because, strangely, the game has a reverse issue of boxing, where the back and forth movement is very sensitive. So I guess it's not a limitation with the Wii. For some strange reason, slight movements of the Wii remote back or forth will sometimes prioritize over a strong sideways movement of the remotes. So it's not uncommon for me to try and stop the fall from moving, but instead push them further to the outer or inner ring. And this would be fine if there was any backup to these controls. But no, these extremely janky controls are the only way to do this nightmare of a game. It would be fine if I could use the D-pad or anything at all other than the highly unreliable motion controls. At least you can feed the foals carrots when they misbehave, and this does alleviate some of the issues I've noticed. It seems that when the horse is happy, it's much easier for the inputs to go through correctly. Now, I don't know if this is an actual mechanic or I'm just insane, but it does seem to help. A little bit, not that much. So why not just give the horse carrots all the time? Well, you only get 3 to give it to them. So good luck spacing that out evenly across 10 checkpoints without the foal ever getting mad at you. I love this game. Oh, carrots, you say? Perchance there is a farming minigame in this game. Perhaps a small garden you can tend to in the 10 hours you're allowed to be awake for. No, it's just a random patch of free-growing carrots. But that's fine, at least there's nothing weird about picking them up. Oh, what's that? You have to go through 3 different selection screens to pick a single carrot up? Oh, that's fun. And guess what? To exit each menu, you have to push different buttons. The first 2 selection screens could just be spammed out with A and it's all good. But then this big old selection screen, basically just telling you how many carrots you have, forces you to press plus to exit. If you were to just spam A, this would definitely be nonsensical game design, but it would have been bearable. But the fact that I have to use different inputs to get through 3 pointless screens is so infuriating. And the screens are pointless. There's no downside to picking up a carrot, and there's no possible situation in which accidentally picking up a carrot would be harmful. There is no point to asking the player if they want to pick up a carrot. And also, why can I only carry 9? What, is 10 an unreasonable amount of carrots to carry on your person? Ever heard of a backpack? Or pockets? Heck, I could carry up to 20 carrots at once if I tried. At least you can easily leave the garden through this conveniently placed gate. Nope, that's not a functional gate for some reason. You have to go through the house. For reasons. Get sproinged! After a nice, relaxing midday out in the fields, you may notice your horse is a little dirty. He's a nasty little boy. So you clean him. Just look at that hoof cleaner go. Look how precise and steady I am with the tool. Anyways, this horse is pretty dirty, yes? Time to scrub off my man. Oh boy, I sure hope I can scrub all the dirt off of him without irrevocably ruining our friendship. Oh, he mad. He real mad. Yeah, so in order to completely scrub off the dirt off the horse, you have to scrub their feet. Issue. The horse gets hella mad if you scrub their feet. Now, you can usually replace all the lost trust by scrubbing him with some good juice, I guess. I really do not understand, like, what this is or why he likes it so much. Maybe it's cocaine, who knows? It's really annoying that you have to basically make your horse hate you to wash them completely. The game could just choose, not to do that. I know I've already mentioned the poor motion controls of this game. Also, I broke my thumb drive with original recordings of Gallopin' Right on it, and the new one doesn't exactly show my complaints properly, so we're just gonna ignore that. What I did not mention was the fact that by default, riding the horse is done by motion controls, which, as you can see, is highly functional. And despite my cat distracting me, I cannot properly display how bad the controls are because my character just wouldn't stop spinning. Kinda weird, but I can still complain about it, don't worry. All the points I made with the full training carry over here, but are worse. Sometimes slowing down or speeding up just won't work because sproing. The turning is also just incredibly janky, and because of the jank, you'll sometimes slam into walls or get stuck in corners. But you see, your horse can't back up. And of course, the turning is janky. So good luck getting out of a corner. There's this group of trees I got stuck on when I played the game for the first time, and I had to give the controls to my girlfriend to free me because I couldn't get out myself. That's right, I had to ask my girlfriend to get me out of the corner, like I was an 8-year-old kid begging his older brother to beat a hard level, because I am a true baby gamer. Thankfully, however, unlike the full training, you can just opt to use the nunchucks instead. I sure wish that was an option elsewhere. The sound in Gallopin' Ride is genuinely one of the worst things imaginable. The word soundtrack has never been more accurate, for you see, the music that sets the mood for your entire gameplay session is this incessant noise playing constantly. It never changes. There is no different song, no different volume, no nothing. It's not even an interesting loop. It's just like the same 2-minute clip of noise for the entire game. And the only other noise that's really significant is the pitter-patter of the horse's hooves. So you have an entire game with this Home Depot theme ripoff playing non-stop on the worst recorder known to man. It drives me insane.
Giddy up!
I get irrationally angry when I hear this song, and it just never ends. I hate it so much, I do not even want to linger on it. It's so awful. It drives me insane. I must be hospitalized because of this song. I really have nowhere to put this, but when you're out riding in the fields, you can move the camera around and see our beautiful protagonist. But the way it works is really weird. You can rotate the camera about you by using C and Z on the nunchuck, and you can stop the camera by pressing them both down together. But like, why? Just stop the camera when I let go of C or Z. Instead, it does this weird thing where like it will move around if you hold down the button, but as soon as you let go, it'll just go back to the back. Like, why not just... I don't know. It's so weird. It's such a weird mechanic. Just don't let me look around, or like make it easier. I don't know. Gallop and Ride is just a very strange game. I always go back and forth on these videos like, are they really this bad, or do I just have bad taste? Well, judging by the fact that this script is nearly 4,000 words long, and out of the possible 5 stars, I'm only guessing there's 5 stars, by the way. I don't actually know the max number of stars you can get in this game. I've gotten 1. Yeah, I think this game's pretty bad. Also, I would like to point out that at this point in the game, it just says achieve 2 stars, with no further instructions. So yeah, it's going great. Gallop and Ride is just such an interesting find. I needed to share with you all this abomination of gaming and this abomination of horses.